Yep. Good to see you. My name is Elise. I'm the founder and CEO of Tlet. I am a streamer. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Proud. Uh, but my platform is called Tlet. It is a B2B marketplace that facilitates direct trade between independent family owned tea farms and tea business buyers. So we're here to teach you about the tea lifestyle. That's what we're all about. Yeah, he's crying. He's a little crybaby over here. He is CFO, when it's pitch time, he can come do his part. But yeah, this is Bitcoin. He's really vocal. But yeah, this is the first steep. Welcome to the first steep. This is a live podcast recording. It's a little flustered sometimes, as you're seeing right now, but we're a good crew. And what we do is we drink two different teas in parallel of each other to learn something not only about the tea and how it might have been processed, but about its terroir. So today's feature is on wiry oolong teas, specifically a tea called Father Zambezi's Mission, made by the Satemwa Tea Estate in Malawi, Africa. Yeah, well, yeah, like wiry is not like an official descriptor, but um, yeah, it describes the shape of the leaf, the way that the leaf is rolled. Long and wiry. And sometimes you see oolongs, they're rolled into really tight balls. Yeah. That tends to be a really nice tea, which we have. We've tasted some balled oolongs on this podcast, but today we're gonna look at this wiry. And I thought it would be good to compare it to a Baozhong style. This is a Taiwanese style, one of the more traditional oolongs. That is also in a wiry style. I don't know. Maybe they not all are. How's the one that you're tasting? Okay. Yep. Mhm. Cool. Nice. Cool. I'm actually drinking a Baozhong that was grown in Indonesia. The Banten in Banten by PT Hanendong. So but it's like it's actually more of a green tea. I think the oxidation levels on these two teas will be pretty different. But that's always fun. That's always fun whenever you're tasting teas in tandem like this. Even if there's a slight difference, it really can teach you a lot how to understand that difference. So as drink other teas and continue on your tea exploration, you'll know how to, process all of that and know what you're drinking. So, hmm yeah, yeah, definitely. So yeah, should we get into it? Um, yeah, let's start with that Father Zambezi's, and then we'll try the other one. So at least we'll start with the same tea. I'm just using freshly boiled water. I'm actually brewing it in the this is a very popular way of brewing tea in Taiwan, which is just in the bowl. In the Yeah, like bowl brewing, but using a lot of leaf. I mean, there's a lot of leaf in here. I think I'm on about like 3.5 grams for a 3-ounce bowl. Nice. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's, well, it's okay. Everything's a little switched up today, and you're no longer a streamer, so you must be really uncomfortable. Bitcoin knows what he's doing. He's like, no, Bitcoin, can you sit down, please? Sit down. Sit down. So what's nice about the bowl brewing like this is that you have a lot of opportunity to like watch the tea as it steeps, like watch the color. Nope, you're fired, Bitcoin. You're fired from the podcast today. See you later. Um, not often does he get fired.
It's a beautiful orange color. It smells like tobacco almost. Sorry, you were talking about bowl brewing before Bitcoin interrupted you, and I actually did want to agree with you. When I brew like in a mug, like Grandpa style, I know you do the same thing when you're doing pitcher brewing. But when I bowl brew, I do it for the same reason. I especially like to do those ball rolled oolongs, and I like to watch them open and kind of turn into the beautiful leaves that they are. And that's kind of, I feel like, really half the purpose of that style of brewing, right?
I'm so sorry. I didn't listen to a thing you just said. I'm so sorry. Like the worst thing to do while you're doing a podcast. But I just got my morning message from Zoom, because I'm on the free account and because we're being clever with the different audio sources, we're going to get kicked off relatively soon. So I just had a flash in my head of all the troubleshooting logistics that we'd have to do, but we'll figure that out. We'll figure it out.
Can we just restart the call?
We should restart the call, yeah. But we could only do it. I mean, if we do it with the way you want to do it, we got 40 minutes, until we're gonna get kicked out. Because I'm on the free one. I used to have a premium, that's why. But then I'm like, oh, it's only 2 people, but I completely forgot. We have a third. But we have 8.5 minutes. So let's get this question. You asked me a question, and we can start there.
So, well, I just, I was talking about different brewing styles. When I brew in a mug, Grandpa style, I know when you do a pitcher, and same with the bowl, I use something that I can see it, and so I can watch those leaves expand. I love doing the ball rolled stuff because I love what they turn into, and I feel like that's just half the point of brewing that way. And I think I've even seen that before, the main enjoyment of these styles that you can watch your leaves kind of interact and open.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's a big part of it. You can watch it as it's brewing. Let's see, I'm gonna get mine.
This oolong is unbelievably soft.
It is quite soft. I would say, it's I am seeing quite a bit of green in the leaf. So there's a little bit of uneven oxidation going on. It's not as heavily oxidized all over the leaf. But it is really soft. I
Let's say I get aromas of tobacco and like just flavors of citrus and like fruit and stuff kind of right off. But
Yeah.
we've had tea from the Settemwa tea estate before,
Yes.
and just I'm thinking about that tea. It was specifically a broken grade black tea, and I think about that in comparison to this, just because of the fact that oolong is not an easy style of tea to make, to produce, right? And just kind of what felt less specialized and maybe not really as, I don't want to say good, because the broken grade black tea that we did have from Settemwa before was very good, but it just, I don't think it was as good as this, and if we had to compare. And it's just the kind of an interesting kind of comparison, I guess, of the capability of processing method of the within one tea estate as well. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, different teas are better suited for different terroirs.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't send you any of the like antlers or the Zomba pearls, which are the most premium teas, and those are actually slightly oxidized white teas.
Right.
But
I've seen actually those before other places too.
Yeah, those are definitely like the most popular teas that we deal with.
Right.
With tea shops and specialty tea stores like teas like that. This is actually a likable tea as well.
Mm-hmm.
I find the profile to be very similar to like the floweriness of like Darjeeling.
Sure. Yeah.
Not to say that the terroirs match, but the processing style, and this can further strengthen the argument that oolong. Darjeeling teas are actually oolong teas and not black, like typically of what we think of as a Darjeeling.
And I mean, but even in comparison, like to Darjeeling as to this, like I even taste, like off this first steep that I'm drinking here, a large similarity to Densong. Some various types of Densong with that kind of like floral, kind of forward, it's not nearly as intense, but with that floral kind of forward note, it's kind of backed by some of that fruity note, and just it has a similarity. I don't know if it's quite that, but
yeah. Now, after this tea's been steeping a longer time, at first it was really soft. It does get quite a bit of tannin extract going on.
Sure. That could be because of, the full brewing.
Yeah. But, that's Bitcoin. I'm sorry. I told you were fired. He doesn't listen. He's like one of those employees that just keeps coming back to work every day, like 10 years later.
I have to escort him off the property. It's all security.
Well, he's just fired from the stream. He's fired from the podcast. You can still work your security detail up front.
Oh, right. I forgot he's security too.
Yeah, he does do security. Yeah, his name is Bitcoin. Highly volatile. Yes, highly volatile. Some days he's feeling it, some days he's not.
We probably won't see my cat much more because the heaters have turned on in my building, and my heater has about a foot of clearance underneath it, and it is her favorite place. So.
Oh, I see. So that's where she is all the time now?
Yeah, she's done.
Yeah, so it is getting quite a bit of stringency. That's like a quality. That's another reason why doing this cup brewing or bowl brewing method is really good in evaluating quality, because you can really taste its faults. If it
Sure.
is too tannic, like this is here. It just means that you have to be careful, like in service, so you don't oversteep the tea. Don't allow the customers to oversteep the tea.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that the Baozhang is probably going to be a lot more crisp and won't oversteep after it's been sitting for a long time.
So I actually keep a regular stash of Baozhong in my office. At work, and for that reason actually, and it just seems that it's kind of this way across the style, and yes, you can overleaf the shit out of it, and this isn't the case, but as far as tea goes though, Baozhong can really just take a beating.
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
it's a welcoming tea, and it's still like, even after like a 40-minute steep, because you forgot about it, it's still just as cooling and just as pleasant, and yeah, it's not, there are definitely some that aren't quite that way, but for the most part it seems that that's just a quality of the style.
Yeah. Okay, so our video is gonna stop soon, so let's meet in a new one.
Yep.
We'll get it going.
Cool.
Yeah.
Minor pause.
Okay. Oh, you're pausing your stream?
Oh no.
You can't do
No,
that.
I'm not. I'm not a streamer. Jeez.
I'm not a streamer. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, new meeting coming. Y'all are chatty on Reddit. We'll get to your comments. So what we're doing is recording podcast. Tough. I was not even paying attention to you. Everything's a little flustered today. It's okay. The tea still gets brewed, and we get to drink it. And vodka will be coming right back in. Colin's coming right back in. Better drink this tea before it gets too tannic. I'm just gonna drink directly from the cup. Uh-oh.
All right, there we go. Good soup.
Good soup. Did someone say that in chat?
No, I just saw you like take, scrape the spoon on the side of the bowl, and good soup. Anyway, as we were saying,
it's a little astringent. That's the tannins. It's getting it's beyond. And that's what's kind of cool about paralleling this tea to the other one, because there, I got you back. All right, we're back on with Colin. Okay. Because you can see that contrast, because we haven't hit this Baozhong yet, but I'm positive it's not going to oversteep. It'll be sweet and flowery and perfect, versus this other one. This other one is very much like what happens with Darjeeling teas when you steep them with high temps or long infusions.
Well, just looking at the leaf too, I can easily tell that, it's much more oxidized than a Baozhong's going to be. Mm-hmm. It's got a lot. It doesn't have nearly as much green, but it's still present, and it just, like you're saying, like we're comparing, it definitely just looks like a first flush Darjeeling, or so it's I don't know. Do you know what the oxidation level is on this? Or anything about a roast?
I no roast. There's no roast on it, and probably like a 40 to 50% oxidation, but there is a lot of variability, so it's not very consistent. Some of the leaf is quite green still.
Right.
And this one, quite green. So yeah, I would say like 40 to 50%.
Honestly, the biggest benefit of this little setup here, the amount of room that I have at the is so much more room for activities.
I'm having some really nice trolls on Reddit today. I'm enjoying them. Sorry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sorry we can't respond to every one of your questions, y'all. We're trying to record a live podcast. Someone commented on our dead air. They're like, oh no, dead air. We're not doing very well today. We know. It's okay.
we're actually doing just fine. Honestly, we could add a whole section where it's just sipping tea and kicking trolls. But no.
Yeah, we this is one of those episodes, and thank goodness we're drinking good tea. I'm looking for this baozhong because that's one thing I know about baozhong, and my friends, have commented about it, is that it's a very relaxing tea. Compared to like last week, we drank that very high energy. And honestly,
God, I could not go to sleep.
That Shing, did you have trouble sleeping last week?
Yeah.
Okay, I bet. Yeah, I ended up just working until like 2:00 in the morning. I just kept going.
See, I'm not the CEO of my business. I have a boss.
Yeah, you got like an 8:00 call time. You got to be at the desk. Oh yeah, no way.
Not really. Not really.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. I definitely, now I understand why you don't want to be drinking tea, because yeah, you do want to get your sleep before. Yeah, no, but these are coming. But I will comment on the energy of the first tea that I've finished drinking now. It is a little buzzy, like especially for the taste. Like I somehow the sensation of astringency from tannins, for some reason my brain just automatically associates it with like really buzzy energy. I think that's like just Assam teas have done that for me, even some Darjeeling teas. So I'm thinking that I'm gonna have a crazy energy, but I feel actually really nice. I feel really nice and calm. There's definitely an energy to it. I feel a heightened thing from it, but it's feeling clean and good. So that's a good thing.
I didn't just spill hot water all over my hands.
Hey, this is a troll-friendly zone, so if I ever say someone's trolling, it's actually usually a good thing, and it's welcomed in abundance.
You're strange like that.
There's good trolling and bad trolling. That's the deal. If you want to come and like make tea puns at me while I'm making tea, I think that's great trolling. That's fun. I want you to take those tea puns with you out into the wild. But yeah, bad trolling, of course. Yeah, we do have respect and civility around here with each other, but
assholes to each other, but not to each.
Well, I did
Never mind.
I do a troll school on Friday nights, and I did a pretty deep academic study, lit review on psychology research around trolling, and like there is like even among academia a really negative connotation around the term troll, because there are bad trolls doing really bad, evil, hateful things, but then there's also trolls, and everybody is like, we're just like making a joke, we're poking fun of something, we're making a pun on something. That's a troll as well, and it doesn't necessarily have to be fueled with hate. It's just you wanting to get a response of like introducing an alternative perspective to something. And one of the papers that I looked at cited that the positive of trolling, even of bad trolling, is that it helps a community renegotiate its culture. So as long as your troll is doing something to introduce something, like a tea pun, for instance, if you go take tea puns into the wild, that's great, because then tea is entering into like pop culture. It's all for the good. I don't know. Maybe I've got a funny way of thinking on it. Civility
No,
is
I
the
can see what
enemy
you're
of the
saying.
wit. Yeah, wit is good, and wit can be civilized too. Yeah, it's good stuff.
My favorite part about Baojang is just the beautiful, like jade colored broth, if you will.
I was busy talking about trolling that I didn't even brew my tea.
Oh, I was brewing my tea while listening about trolling. It was good. So,
Yeah, definitely much greener in color.
oh, for sure. There's honestly like a running joke in like some online communities that just Baojang is just green tea.
It
I
is,
will,
yeah.
I will, no, no, hang on. I will fight anybody that says it is.
Okay.
However, I understand the leaves are very green. Also, Sheng is not green tea. I will fight anybody. It has green leaves. It is Sheng.
The process is very similar, though.
I understand that, but there is oxidation that does occur,
Very
and
slight.
therefore,
But yeah, it's different.
therefore, it can't be green tea. Cheers, friend.
Cheers to a beautiful Baojang.
Ooh,
Oh, so nice. Buttery,
yeah.
nutty.
It's like that was what I was waiting for. Like the that African oolong is nice, but this is something else.
Yeah, and I just don't think that the Satemwa would be capable of producing, a buttery green tea like this. I haven't seen them, and I'm sure they've tried, because when they evolved their estate from the conventional CTC, that was what they were producing exclusively, crushed hair curl, which is what goes typically in tea bags, what you see in like black tea bags. They switched from
The
that
dust
to
from that even.
yeah, the dust and the broken up pieces of tea, but they switched to orthodox in an attempt to revitalize the business and empower the labor. And so they brought in a consultant, and this consultant is renowned in the world, is one of the best in the world, the best in the world, actually, I will say that. And they try every style of tea, all the different equipments. I mean, it's a very expensive, resource-intensive process
Yeah.
to develop a new tea or a new terroir. And yeah, this was one of the teas that came out, but no like nutty, fresh, flowery green teas. The green teas, they do make green tea there, but both of them tend to be more on the astringent side, similar to the green tea from Darjeeling. I think we tasted one of those, and
We
in the
didn't, but I've
series.
had some before.
You've
We've
had
had
some, okay.
we had some either Assam or some Arunachal
Okay.
green
Yeah.
tea.
Yeah. And yeah, that was more rustic, and more astringent and a little more harsh. You don't get these sweet nutty things, and even in Nepal, in the Himalayas, a very ideal climate for growing nice sweet leaf material. There's one factory that has imported equipments from Taiwan to do the Taiwan style oolong production, and they have yet to succeed in making a green style oolong. So
Well, I know that it has to be difficult, right? Because oolong itself is difficult due to the nature of the control required for oxidation, the roasting involved, or not roasting, I guess. And I'm sure that, especially on the greener side, their own challenges just are the fact that since they aren't roasted, potentially, since they are that lighter oxidation, potentially overdoing the oxidation, or just not storing it properly either, since it probably needs to be fresher. I know that I don't drink this Baozhong as often as I should, and it's definitely less fragrant than it was when I got it. But I don't know. Since I'm not a tea expert, I will defer to you. But
Oh, you have noticed a decrease in the aroma?
yes. Now I have not stored it the best, admittedly, but I'll be honest. Baozhong is not the most expensive tea, so like I didn't get too bent out of shape about it. But there's definitely, and I'm not talking about the Father Zambezi. I'm talking about the Baozhong that I'm drinking right now. I definitely noticed a drop in the aroma. Yeah, it's not quite as floral anymore.
Which one did you go for? Did you go for the competition grade or the other one?
The competition style.
Mm.
I considered the smooth water, and honestly, I'm considering going and bowl brewing some of the smooth water just to kind of. But yeah, I went with the competition style. And here's what's interesting is that I've actually compared these two teas before, and they're from two different farmers. They're from two different terroirs, and you can tell that very distinctly. And what's amazing is that this tea is clearly a higher quality. I prefer the other one. And I think it's because, and maybe this is something to be said about the Father Zambezi's mission as well, is that I feel like the competition style tries too hard to be something, but Baozhong and these unroasted, kind of lighter oolongs, they just need to, I don't feel like they need to be anything. They just need to, kind of just chill and just kind of sit back in what they are, because that's how they make me. That's the experience they give me. But anyway, I'm getting rambly for some reason. This tea is really, I guess, getting to me. I have no idea.
Yeah, so I've noticed a shift in my energy as well. Yeah. But still clean and smooth.
Yeah. It's amazing though, like how tea can sometimes like just bring images to mind that you don't understand. I was talking about this with somebody about how I've never eaten flower petals after rain off the ground, but I can tell you that this tea tastes exactly like a flower if I'd have picked it immediately after it was raining or during rain and just stuck it in my mouth, So, and that's, just something to do with the energy, kind of that, yeah.
So it's understood in the tea world on the scale of oxidation, especially when you're talking about oolongs, is that a greener tea is going to be more flowery and a darker tea is going to be more fruity. So we did note on the first tea it was quite flowery,
but it did have a lot of fruit flavors in the back end that followed.
Yeah. And so that makes sense, in looking at the oxidation of the leaf and the color of the leaf, like the greenness throughout is definitely what's bringing out the flowery aroma, while the higher degree of oxidation is what's giving you that fruity back note.
I had some heavy roast dongyang over the weekend, and it's fairly out of character for me. I'm somebody that much prefers a greener oolong like this Baozhong, and so it was very out of character for me to be drinking a heavy roast dongyang. And what's wild though is that even after a certain roast point, though, you lose flavor, right? And this even like oxidation was even more on the heavy roast as well. And I don't know if that's related to the roasting level or not, but like you lose that fruit flavor from all of that roasting. It's still there a little bit. You gain like this like smoky complexity, medicinal chocolate thing. It's wild, and it's just it just goes to show that oolong should not be one category.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. It's fascinating, and that's why people say, or tea masters say, that oolong is the most artisanal of all the categories of tea. and that
I would
it's
definitely agree.
very hard to maintain consistency and um, I don't know. I mean, I think the same thing that a tea master has to do for processing a good oolong tea that's like oxidized to just the right amount is the same thing that a tea manufacturer making really good quality black teas is also going to have to do. And even green
Hmm.
teas too. You know, even something like Japanese green teas, which
Oh, sure.
um, a batch of really high quality sencha can be made by two people. A very large batch because it is mechanized. Like there are every step of the process is done by some type of machine. And so, you know, people will say, oh, well, Japanese tea farmers are not real tea masters because they're not, you know, doing it with their hands and involved in every step. Like there's machines doing all of the steps. And if you watch a
Horribly disagree.
Japanese, yeah, if you watch a Japanese tea maker, like just because the steps are automated, and that was out of necessity because labor is a finite, valuable resource in Japan. You cannot be just,
Sure.
you know, having a full factory of labor all the time.
Can't just be
Um,
throwing around workers willy nilly.
yeah, but they are involved in the processing very similarly to what you see, you know, a Taiwanese oolong tea maker doing. Um, you know, checking the smell and knowing exactly because like we're talking about like nanoseconds of
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
ideal time, and it's not always the same nanoseconds because every factor can affect the processing, the heat transfer, the humidity, whatever's going on, even the state of the leaf when you're processing it. So the processing has to be unique every single batch. It's not just you know, like what were those like old bread machines? You know, you just put all the ingredients in there and it just does it all for you. It's not like that. You know, like there's a high degree of involvement by the tea maker.
But ultimately, too, I think that something to take into account is that, like you're saying, every style kind of has um, its own artisanal kind of flair to it, and even white tea will. And I think it's just something that has frustrated me a lot lately are the people that only drink aged stuff. Um, I won't drink it unless it's at least 10 years old crowd. For this specific reason. And it's because a lot of the value there is placed in the age. And lately I've been drinking a little bit of some Oolong from 1966 as well that I have a little bit of in my stash. But what just I guess frustrates me is that the kind of artisanal side of things, the value of it is seen in the storage, whereas and the the freshness, well, it's full of problems and disappointment and that kind of like stress of trying to get the fresh stuff and drinking it fast enough. And I'm like, but that's I feel like where you kind of also get to see some level of the true mastery of a tea master, I guess. Just how they're fresh leaves, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And yeah, I don't know. This is me rambling after having a lot of tea about how I think that all tea is good. Period.
Nice rant.
Yes.
Um,
Soapbox.
so this baozhang's been steeping for maybe 10 minutes now. It is becoming less soft as expected, but definitely not as tannic and astringent as the Father Zambezi's mission. Um, it's almost as if like the character of the tea that's becoming strong is the nuttiness, and
Sure.
the texture, the kind of like negative or less soft texture that I'm feeling is, um, kind of the same texture from like if you eat a lot of the 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 skin around like peanuts.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah, it's just like really intense nuttiness, like strong nuttiness.
So I've got a question for you then. This is
Mm-hmm.
a question I have about processing methods for Baozhong. Um, is there a kill green phase in
Yes.
Baozhong? Okay.
Yes.
Is that a
Yes.
pan fire phase?
Yes.
That okay. That answers every question I've ever had about Baozhong.
Yeah, typically it is. I've never seen it. The only place that I've seen anything other than pan firing is in India and Japan, which is
That
steaming.
makes sense.
Everywhere else, Taiwan, China, it's all um, pan firing.
Sure. So this is totally off the topic of the teas that we're drinking tonight, but
Okay.
what is the reason behind India steaming tea? Because I feel like there seems to be like a very specific kind of reasoning behind the Japanese tea having steaming green tea. How did that end up being the case in India? Is that like a resource thing as well?
I believe so. Because it's
Okay,
like if it's like the most scalable, um, simple way of doing it.
sure.
Without having to have very large equipments to do it.
Hmm.
But like small batch, so like there are some producers like the Teenier. I don't think we had the green tea. We had just the black tea from Teenier, right? The South Indian
I
tea
haven't had anything
master.
from Teenier.
We did have something. I forget which tea we had.
I haven't had anything from them. You've told me about their like wild green or feral green or something,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but I've
yeah.
never had. I really would love to try their yellow though.
Okay, all right. We'll try to work something out with that one. I do have yellow tea from them, but anyway, they do pan firing. But that's simply
Hmm.
because they're working in small enough batches that he's got a nice sized wok with a propane heat source under it. But most of the factories are going to be wanting to process in larger batches than just single wok batches.
Right.
And the steam equipment is something that like can even be built in house. Like it's not something that you have to import special equipment for. I mean, like the Japanese tea processing, the steam is like a proper machine. It's like an
Right.
operation. But in India, they're using very rustic type equipment. Say maybe they molded the steamer with cement and it's like wood burning underneath, like steaming the water and then having the cabinet to put the trays of tea and with a very simple technology you can process in sizable batches. So I think that that's the
And
reason
make decent
why.
green tea.
Yeah, make decent green tea. Like in Yunnan where they pan fire the teas, like you'll see it like just like lineups of large woks and like the heat
Right.
source
Right.
behind them, and like that's how they're doing it because it's like large scale systems. But I think you're going to see a lot more of it. I mean, it doesn't mean that India has to only steam their tea, just like Teenier is pan firing, but they just built that themselves. Like, and I think that that's going to be a trend. It has to be a trend of like these new up and coming tea masters. Like they've got to build their factories like from scratch. Some of them will get access to grants or funding to bring processing equipment in, but it's the very costly undertaking. So whatever can just be built with DIY is really what we're going to be seeing in the beginning.
Apparently, I got rated. By the way.
Oh. Welcome, Raiders. You chose someone who doesn't even stream to raid.
Yeah, I don't even stream. Jones, thank you for the raid and thank you for the resub.
He's
Welcome,
not even
everybody.
a streamer.
Streamers. I hate people who stream. Oh.
How big was your raid? Let's see.
11.
Oh, nice. Welcome in, raiders.
Oh, thanks, Carmel. It's officially 1 week that I since the last time I had any nicotine, so.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're doing better. I remember last week you had just begun and you were already talking about murdering or whatever, you know.
I was. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not anymore, so that's good. It's a win.
Yeah. I feel like an asshole. It's not been as difficult as I thought it was supposed to be, and I was like, shit. But anyway. So yeah. Yeah, no, the reason I asked though is just because steaming just like it has such like a specific effect on the flavor of the green tea, I feel like, right? Like if we compare like Japanese to Chinese green tea, like they're very, very distinct. And so I was just curious if that like had anything to do with like a cultural thing in India, or if it was just because of like necessity. And I had a feeling it was like resource and necessity. So
yeah, that's interesting. Question though, the culturally if it has anything. I don't think so, because even in Japan, the traditional way of making the sencha is the pan firing.
Interesting. Okay.
So they weren't
actually realize that.
They weren't always steaming. I would guess that steaming became prevalent in Japanese production after the mechanization time. Because before they would use these like heated tables and make what's called the temomi by hand. Te means hand. Temomi is like hand things, so like handmade. Which you can find some specialty Japanese vendors, especially at the Shincha time, like the new tea season in the spring, the new teas. They'll have very, very limited quantities of temomi available.
I will have to look out for that, actually.
Yeah. And I think that's only like in the past, like 100 or so years that farmers have started to evolve away from that. But it's like, even the young farmers are taught how to make it. So it's still an important part of like if you were a tea farmer, you would definitely be making a batch, at least for like your close family and friends, of temomi.
Well,
a lot of farmers will be making special like tourist events, like agritourism events, to get people out to be a part of the temomi. But they just they hand roll it. And actually, my logo is a visual representation of that Japanese style hand rolling, where they hand roll it on like a heated surface, like basically a wok. So at the same time that they're doing the kill green, they're also shaping the leaf. And that's the same thing, in modern tea processing in Japan. Like, yeah, the tea all goes through a steam, but then it's rolled on like a heated surface that
into
helps,
that needle shape.
Yeah, to make that needle shape. So you can actually make that needle shape by hand with very delicate, persistent hand rolling on that heated surface. So yeah, Japan. I think the steaming must have come in when they started mechanizing everything, and steam, like the way they have it, it's like a conveyor belt, right? So the tea, after it's been resting, it'll go through the conveyor belt and the steam comes up. I think that's just like a matter of like efficiency in that process. I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but that's just my guess. I could try to research it. This seems like something like that would be considered like esoteric, tea history knowledge, but
you never know.
Isn't everything that we talk about freaking esoteric when it comes to tea?
Yes. Like that is so I every single time I find myself in some online sphere talking about tea, that issue gets brought up, right? The fact that everything is just so nobody understands this concept because you're too stupid. But like what it really is like this concept is so fucking esoteric that we're never going to be able to understand. Yang Yun being an example, Qi being another example, literally this that we're talking about being another example. And I'm just like always, why are we all so caught up in figuring out exactly what everything is? Why can't we just enjoy tea? But then I suggest we start a podcast about tea. By the way, I would just like to note, Elise, you can let Bitcoin know this is what a good podcast partner looks like. She has not made a single peep.
Not okay? Like this guy. This guy is over here crying still.
She just wants to be here, okay?
Yeah, he just wants to be here too. He's like, yeah, okay, I'm here. I'm here.
She doesn't want to be seen is the thing.
So needy.
All right.
So are you gonna steep those teas more, or are you gonna save them for your morning?
I think I'm on my last steep here. I think I've steeped them out. So I think it is probably about time that we wrap up as well so that I can stop drinking tea at an appropriate time to still be able to go to bed. At least it's Baozhong.
Yeah, okay, so I see an article here. It said, yeah, steaming was introduced when tea started to be treated as an export. And that was all to do with scale and efficiency in the process. So, and that's modern.
See, and here's my thing though, is that I still fully believe that very much relates to a cultural thing as well. Like, I feel like if Germany or like other countries with like, with like other like nations and like I guess cultural groups that have that kind of like, and not basically that kind of cultural ideal of like efficiency and stuff. I feel like there's definitely some of that involved in that, but I don't know. Maybe that's a topic of conversation for a podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's completely wrong, but
yeah, I don't know. I hadn't heard that take. But I think steaming and even blanching, that's another style of kilgreen, is blanching. Those are all styles that every single tea master in the world knows about.
Sure.
And I think just like the processes that they end up dedicating themselves to are their own preference. But like the Satemwa, the makers of this Father Zambezi's mission, they do both roasting and steaming for their green teas, and they get two very different products from it.
Right.
So they're just doing both. They're like, they have the resources and the space in their factory to have the equipment for both processes. But
okay, no los dos.
Yeah, but yeah, we got to get you a blanched green tea so you can taste that. I
don't
know if I have any samples of one. I might, if I go digging, I might find some sample of one.
I don't know why, but for some reason that idea terrifies me, but I'm super here for it.
Yeah, I got one that's blanched and it's also roasted to dry. Like instead of using like an oven to dry the leaf, which is typically what you see, they like roast it on a low temp and just constantly move it in the wok to dry it. Which is similar to how it would be
super nutty.
It's very nutty. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting tea. Not the greatest, but interesting.
Well, Elise, I think that is where I'm going to have to call it for the evening. Thank you for dealing with my prima donna
Yeah,
picture tonight.
it's okay. It's okay. Well, we're always evolving. Yeah, you and your little man bun.
Hey, I I've been growing out my hair for like 4 years now or something like that. So, but
All right, Colin. Well, it was great
thank you.
to drink tea
Yeah,
with you. Hope to see you next week or,
yeah, as always.
next time. I know you're not a streamer anymore, but thank you for coming back on here to do the streaming.
I still intend to stream the live episodes just as basically, just because I think it adds a dynamic to the podcast itself. So
Yeah. Well, and you got subscribers, so you gotta keep content coming for them.
they're paying me. I better do it. I got to do something for them. This one I did send tea to though. So
Nice.
have a lovely evening, Elise.
You
Goodbye,
too.
Bitcoin.
Yeah. See you next time. Have a great week.
Later.
Bye-bye. All right, y'all. Reddit Kicker West. Sorry I didn't get to your questions earlier. Blanching is a process where you apply heat to a food product via submerging and boiling water. So we're talking about a process in tea making called the kill green process. Kill green is when you apply heat to the fresh tea leaves to denature the enzyme that causes oxidation. The oxidation is what turns tea from green tea to oolong tea to black tea. So if you want to make a green tea, or in the case we're talking about today, this is a green oolong. These are both oolongs. They're both actually very similar looking, but one's green and one's brown, right? The brown is the oxidation. That's the enzyme that causes that. So this tea had to go through a kill green where they denatured the enzyme. They use a roasting method, so it's direct heat via a wok or some type of heated surface. But, we were talking about steaming. Like in Japan, it's very common to use steam as the heat to denature the enzyme. And then blanching is the final way that you can denature an enzyme, submerging into boiling water. And that's like what you do to when you're cooking leafy greens, if you want to lock in the green color. People will just submerge them very quickly into boiling water. And that should be enough to denature the enzyme. So that's that. But yeah, Kicker West, this is a little bit of learning. Colin and I have been recording this live podcast for several months now. Every Monday we drink 2 different teas. So sometimes it's black teas, sometimes it's white teas or pu'er teas. Today we did a feature on oolong teas. And in tasting 2 different teas in tandem, you can have a lot of understanding and education about the processing of tea. So we got to see 2 oolong teas, one green, one brown, and talk about what makes that different, and then talking about how it affects the taste differently. You can learn a lot about tea that way. So that's the purpose of this podcast. We have not launched the podcast yet. We've only been live recording and streaming that here. And yeah, we'll be back next week, but you can give me a follow. I stream 5 days a week. I do gaming. Of course, I'm drinking tea the entire time, but tend to have, high level intellectual conversations around civility and kindness and just living the best life. So if those things interest you, please give us a follow. Reddit, I will see you tomorrow. I'll be doing some gaming and blockchain tomorrow. I hope you have a wonderful night. Goodbye. Let's see. Worth doing a raid? No, I just got one person here. I didn't even say hello to Tef when he was saying. So I'm just going to stop the stream. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for hanging out tonight.